Good morning, all. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. However, Duke did not get the minutes done, so we'll be approving those at our next meeting. So we'll immediately go into the payment application number 22, which has a interesting feature to it in that it has a credit which was created really by Rusty and David when they initiated the contract. We put extra hours in for an MEP coordinator to watch over Ferguson because they had so much of the contracts in terms of dollar value. We found that we don't need those many hours anymore. So the hours are going to be reduced. That is the hours we're paying to Hendrickson, who is the MEP coordinator. And as a result, we end up with a credit each month from starting in October through May. And I'll let George talk about that.
Yeah, well, actually, if I could just take 1 second and just kind of give a quick overview on that, Kip. So when we initially proposed on the project and talked about staffing, we had an MEP call.
This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you.
So we had a part-time MEP coordinator. Then when the bids came in and we realized that we were giving a vast sum of the work to Ferguson, we had noted that we felt that there was added MEP supervision required. And the way we structured it was we knew going into it that the real push for that was getting the academic wing up and running, because that's really where the heart of all of the MEP systems were, and a majority of that installation. So we had structured it in our GMP to have an amount identified for that premium. So we're at the point where we can bring our MEP coordinator back to the part-time position that they started in. So that's really what this is. So that there is still Jim will still be involved on a part-time basis.
Right.
What was that?
I don't know.
Wow. So that Jim will maintain a part-time basis, but what we're doing is we're crediting back the premium of hours that shifted him from part-time to full-time that we utilized during the academic wing.
Right.
That
Well, as
total
I understand it,
that
Go ahead,
total is
Rusty.
about $135,000.
over the 8 months. So we're taking in a little over $16,500 a month in a credit from the original amount that we booked as general conditions.
Right, and you see it on this line item. So originally we were billing the $98,488, and then it's been reduced to the $16,550. So now it'll be the $81,937. So that's where you see that change.
Anything else on the payment application?
Yeah, and then it's just we're billing, the American environmental, is billing the balance of their work. Capasso Concrete, that's for the foundations and the footings, which is complete, foundation walls and footings. And actually, we started with steel Monday. General Trades is just some temporary guardrails and those kind of things. Ferguson Plumbing, that's mostly material. We do have the all the underground piping and on site. We have some hangers on site. HVAC was just an adjustment that was made. And our fee and our general conditions.
Are there any questions concerning this payment application? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve this application for $634,510.24. Do I have a second?
Yeah, Sean seconds.
Sean seconds. Okay. All those in favor indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, David and Rusty, for negotiating that originally in the contract, that ability to be flexible, the MEP hours coordinator.
Yep.
Progress report, George and David.
Okay, the summary data, still projecting substantial completion for site work beginning of May and the assembly wing, middle end of May. At a percent completes. Potential change orders and approved change orders a little bit. We're still carrying, about a balance of 977,521 for our CMR contingency allowance, which is, still healthy at this point. We'll talk about it later. The two main items we have is that we have the change order, the PCO for the septic tank. That was about 100,000 or so. We can talk about later, and then also put together like a recovery schedule, because of the septic tank, and we reallocated some of the costs back when we revised the schedule earlier in the year. We reallocated and did some costs into that. So that was the main difference from last month to this month as far as the contingency. But we're still carrying a pretty healthy contingency as far as the completion of the project. It's just,
George, while you're scrolling through, do we have the camera set up again?
yes. Yep, the camera's all set up.
Do we all know how to access the camera? I think I've forgotten even how to log in. I'll tell you what, why don't you send out to the committee the requirements to log into the camera?
Yep.
You're talking about just the site camera, the one that just gives you a view of the progress over time?
Exactly.
I just shared that again because we're an exciting milestone with the school coming up. So I just shared it with the community broadly. I've got the link here.
I was just going to say it's the same link, right? So
yeah,
if we have it from.
Yeah, but just have to go back.
Yeah, I think it would. I think the first time you do it, if you haven't used it in a while, though, I think it is going to tell you that it's redirecting you because I think they changed the hosting of the site a little bit, so it should automatically redirect you to it.
Yeah, Dave, that's a good. I just updated the link when I share it with the community. So in the chat, if you can look at GoToMeeting, there's a little chat button. I just dropped the link in there, so people are loving that camera. It's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, and then as far as RFIs, ASIs, PRs, there wasn't any issue this period. PCOs for approval. The PCO 70, 71, 74, and 75. Those were approved by the construction subcommittee. They were within the parameters for those approvals. Two of them were, we had some comments which we sent to the trades. I'm waiting for comments back. That was 72, final cleaning, and the miscellaneous curtain walls. So we did get some comments back and sent those to the trades. And then the removal of the existing septic tank, we kind of talked about that last month, where we found existing septic tank, like right in the footprint of the building. That's a picture of the tank, or so it was about 8 feet tall, 14 feet wide, 40 feet long, and it was kind of right in the middle of where the foundation is. So we had to remove that material and fill it with structural fill, and we ended up doing it on time and material, and then that cost ended up being like 100,000 and some change. So that one, we'll probably look for approval at the committee, during the meeting for the committee approval. And then the other ones, these are just kind of on hold right now. I think at some point, maybe this month, I'll go back and revisit some of these. Like for instance, the kiln room. That was a PR that was issued. There was a potential that the kiln room might get overheated. So we got some cost added a VRF in there. That's some cooling, but we were able to also work with the engineers to kind of revise some of the balancing of the air, bringing in more fresh air, exhausting more air to solve that problem rather than spending the money to add some cooling. So maybe I'll get with Luke later this month and we can go through it and see if the kiln room is, functioning well. And, might be able to drop that and maybe able to drop a couple of these that have been on hold for a little while. And then as far as schedule activities, from last month that we revised, we went through the exercise to, pick up the 2 weeks or so that we kind of lost with the septic tank. So we were able to pick up some of the activities by resequencing, the way we set the steel, and picked up about 10 days as far as setting the roof. So originally we were going to do the slab, do the underground slab on grade prior to setting the steel, and then we were going to once the steel was set, then we were going to start the exterior walls, masonry, and steel studs, and then start our roof. So the parapets kind of need to be placed before we start our roof. So what we did was we met with several of the trades, and we came up with resequencing where we're actually going to set the steel first. We're going to do the underground plumbing, after the steel set, or the slab after the steel set. And then we picked up some time where we're going to start the mason and the drywall framing. And we're going to frame the parapets, prior to, actually getting the whole masonry wall built. So there's several parapets where we can start, get those parapets done first, and then we start our roofing earlier. So we were able to pick up about 10 days with doing that, and getting in the drying in the roof 10 days earlier than what was originally planned. So that opens up a lot, and as far as the ability to start putting in temp heat and those kind of things for the exterior. So those were the major changes for that. And then
So George, can I stop you on that for a second?
yep.
As I understand it, and I'm not expert in all this stuff by any means and understanding all the nuances, but you have to have a roof on your building before you can do all your MEP work inside, correct?
That's correct.
The goal here is to get
right.
the roof on as soon as possible, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, not only the MEP, but also like the spray fireproofing. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, typically we could hang hangers and stuff. Well, we do prior to the spray fireproofing. Don't necessarily need a roof on that, but before we start roughing in our MEPs, we need the spray fireproofing, and that's where you need the roof. So that's why it's so much beneficial to have the roof on as soon as you can. That way you can get in there.
And just for everybody's information, the roofing material, which was the cause of the delay of the academic wing, we've already got, it's purchased and it's being stored in warehouse.
Yes. And then the majority of the materials that we've bought and they've been stored, like all the mechanical equipment we have. There's really no procurement items right now. we have most of it. So. And then with that, what we did, with this new, I guess, recovery schedule, we went through, and I know back like last year, where we went because of the delays of the roofs, we decided to, go substantial completion from April to May or actually it was June. But, we set aside some costs for that. And originally it was like 91,000. Of that 91,000, we used almost like 20,000 or so for premium time. So what I did was I took the costs that we had in, for the rescheduling, and then I just kind of updated it and reallocated some of those costs. So like for instance, Capasso, put some money aside for the winter protection. Same with Island, they're the fireproofers. Higgins, we're still carrying some overtime for flooring, and same with more Ferguson mechanical, electrical. So, this is kind of like what the impact is for this recovery, which was kind of like a net increase of like the 28,000, which is kind of like a potential cost that we're carrying out of our contingency. So we went
George,
through that exercise as well.
Right. With regard to that, since when we did the estimate of the delay, of the cost of the delay in the academic wing, and we had, as you show there, we estimated $91,000+ of estimated additional costs. We only spent of that $28,000. The question would be, do we think that the $100,000 is equally, let's say, a full estimate?
Yeah, I think
in other words, are we going to spend $100,000 or not?
It will be. I think it'll be it'll be closer than what our original for the 91, and only spent the 20, only because we know we are going to be spending money for the winter protection of the masonry.
Okay.
So
and where,
right.
Where do these numbers, where do they sit right now? Are they in a contingency or the allowance? Where are they found?
They're found
These
in
estimates.
a contingency.
Yep. In a contingency.
Yeah, if you look in our report, there's like in scope and out of scope. So if you go, out of scope is the owner's change orders. That's it. And then the in scope. So this is where they are. So in scope, that's the CMR contingency and our allowances. So this is where you see it. So it's shown as a potential under our contingency. And that's that.
Okay.
So that's
thank you for that clarification. Okay.
Yep. And, we talked about the schedule, and then site work. We're still continuing importing fill for the parking lot. We started on some of the structures as well. Assembly wing, we continue excavating for footings. That's complete. We started backfilling foundations, footings and foundation walls, and started excavating backfilling. So we did some underground plumbing, so we could finish up some of the footings. But right now that work's on hold until the steel's up. And like I said, next week we should finish that work up. As far as punch lists, still carrying the open items 51. We did in the last couple of days did some, so we'll be updating those for next month. And then the commissioning we're starting to track the commissioning items. So right now there's 52 open items, 2 for O&G, 7 for the engineers, and then 43 for mechanical, Ferguson, and they were here yesterday working on some of these items, so we'll be updating that as well. Also, we have starting Wednesday next week, we should be commissioning the DOAs, the rooftop units, and then that would be the last major equipment for commissioning.
So it's pushed off to next week again.
Yes. Yeah, well, it was originally scheduled maybe a month or so ago, and then trained the manufacturer of the units. I guess the commissioning guy missed the plane from Kentucky, so yeah, we had to reschedule for next week. But I do have confirmation that they're going to be here next week. So
Yeah.
So,
I believe it when I see it. Okay.
talked about the schedule. And these are just pictures. So this is probably looking west, the foundation walls ready for the steel. The same with the foundation walls. Like I said, Monday they started setting steel. They're actually doing some backfilling. Some of the site film.
My only comment is that
That's it.
it looks like such a big open property all of a sudden. We've been so used to being crammed on this site. I don't know what you're going to do with all that property, Luke.
Every time we look back, there's the promised land. It's beautiful.
I tell you, my son is looking forward to a football game for sure.
I know. Open up the field for the kids. It's like every pain point. It's like right there to solve. It's like parking and play space. So we're excited.
Oh.
It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you'd like to have a parking lot and bus loop done now.
Yeah.
Megan, do.
Lord. Okay.
Great. Any questions or?
Let's get it up. Let's get the thing up and roofed in. The next item is we've already touched on. I guess you touched on it the last time I was not here for the last meeting, but because the solution to the septic tank, which I gather was it saved us pulling the tank out of the ground, which would have been a real expense. The solution that we have has been approved and we've done it, but the amount is $100,248. And at that level, it requires the full committee's approval. The building subcommittee does not have the authorization to go that high. So I'm going to propose that we accept and pay or accept as part of our program the change order number 076 for they call it removal of the existing septic tank. I think it's just merely an adjustment to it. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Rusty seconds. Any further discussion? Excuse me. No other discussion. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. This payment is approved. I think item number 5 on our agenda, we've talked about quite a bit already, George. Is there anything you or Rusty want to add to this plan to make up lost time and where the estimated cost is located in terms of contingencies?
Only that, in fact, Dave and I talked about it yesterday. We're talking about hours of additional work to try to get this done. We'll just run into a big problem if the weather turns all of a sudden, and we need to get every hour we can of every day and weekends if we can to get this roof on and the insulation sprayed on the steel.
Okay. Anything else on that matter?
Nope.
Okay. In other items, the We have a group of 4 people from our committee that's going to be looking this afternoon at studying all the soft costs that we've spent to date, and come back and report to you next month where we stand with our soft costs. I mean, every month we have the construction costs always shown in these payment applications and where they stand, but we'd like to go back and look at the original budget for the soft costs and see what we've spent so far. We've had some things that have helped and some things that have hurt. So we will work on that this afternoon and report back to you at our next meeting, if not sooner. Is there any other discussion of any other matter to come before the committee? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. No one wants to adjourn? Marcy will move and Diane will second. All right, okay. Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Record time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.